Hey there friends and viewers, you have clicked on the Balance Druid changes video for patch 4.2. There's some pretty important changes here, so listen up. We'll start off with the simple ones. Firstly, fungal growth now has a new spell visual effect that has been updated to be less visually intrusive and more aesthetic. In the past, it was kind of just this big brownish green blob on the floor, and if you had three right next to each other, it looked like some kind of a decay. Really unattractive. So you can see the new design is more artistic, and it also has runes outlaying their area of effect. That would be the snare radius. And also the explosion from detonating these wild growth or wild mushrooms, shout out to Curtis Pike by the way, will now trigger Earth and Moon, which is that 8% increased spell damage on your target. So that's going to be really helpful in PvP if you use these things as landmines, and also an area effect. Say before you start monsooning or starfiring or even typhooning a mob of AoE, you might want, well, you definitely want to trigger one of these things just to give them all that increased spell debuff. And also the Earth and Moon duration, that buff that gives you bonus 8% spell damage against your target, has been increased by 15 seconds, or been increased to 15 seconds up from 12, so that's 3-second increase. That's not going to affect your rating at all, but it will affect PvP significantly because that's longer amounts of time that you are able to Moonfire or Sunfire spam your targets. And on that note, a Lunar Shower, the talent that enables you to so effectively Moonfire spam, has been redesigned. Now it's less of a face roll and it's less overpowered. When casting Moonfire, the Druid now gains Lunar Shower, obviously. Now Lunar Shower has been changed to increase the direct damage by Moonfire by 45%. That reduces the mana cost by 30%. That hasn't changed. The effect stacks 3 times, etc, etc. You have to stay moving to keep it active, but here's the key part. Anytime you cast Moonfire, or Sunfire for that matter, it will now generate 8 solar energy, so it will actually move your Eclipse bar from one spectrum to the other while you're Moonfire spamming. So you can no longer spam Moonfire while you're in a lunar eclipse dealing obscene amounts of damage, and vice versa with solar energy. So it's keeping that damage in check, and also persuading you perhaps to use some longer cast time in PvP instead of just using one ability. So hopefully it'll inspire some more competitive Moonkin PvP. I personally am going to be trying it out. I'm pretty excited about it. And this change is ultimately, it's not necessarily a nerf because other things have been changed, but it will hopefully add some diversity to the class. Next change, Solar Beam has a new spell effect. You can see me here using it to silence that Fire Mage casting a Pyroblast on me. Kind of funny. It's actually a really cool effect. It's like Venusaur, right? It actually looks like a Solar Beam. Before it was kind of just this big, you know, god light from heaven or whatever. I don't know what that thing was. And this actually looks like UV, you know, sun beam, solar beam. So that's interesting. And lastly, guys, the two huge changes to the spec. Seemingly no nerf to compensate or compromise these changes. Wrath and Starfire have had their damage increased by approximately 23%. This is an extremely huge buff. It'll completely change the game. I mean, it'll make Boomkin rating damage very high. I honestly, I don't know where it is right now because I haven't been rating Moonkin since before patch 4.0 when all these changes were made. So I don't personally know, but I was testing it out on these dummies. Man, we were seeing Starfire crits for like 62k. I think I was nerd hallucinating that I star searched something for over 100k. I mean, if the stars align, pun intended, and you get all your spell power buffs. I mean, I'm rocking literally 9,000 spell power with heroic 4.2 gear, Firelands gear. 9,000 spell power, dealing crazy amounts of damage. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see Moonkins adjusted after the patch is launched. Just the sheer amount of critical damage they're dealing in single target is insane. And hopefully the Wrath and the Starfire bonuses will also increase their effectiveness in PvP, falling in line with the inspiration to stop the Moonfire spam. Maybe when you stop to cast Wrath and Starfire and you actually get those casts off, you'll become really effective. I mean, I can imagine in 3s or perhaps in Battlegrounds when you're able to free cast on people that your damage will be pretty insane. You can mark my words. So I'm really excited about it. You can see me unloading on this level 60 dummy. Yes, it's a level 60 dummy. I did that because I wanted to see some big numbers. Also AoEing, even using the detonation from the wild mushrooms, starfall, the treants, the whole shebang. Some pretty insane damage. I was sustaining between 20 and 22, I believe, when damaging these dummies. That's AoE damage. I mean, it'd be a lot different if I had buffs, but that's pretty extreme, guys. I mean, I haven't rated in a while, but that Wrath and Starfire damage is really exceptional. I mean, it's like crit chicken all up in your grill. Smells like chicken when you're critting stuff with those things. So I had a great time testing it out on the PTR. I hope you guys learned a lot from watching these videos. Of course, this has been Hengest with TGN.TV. Click on that dancing crit chicken if you want to return to the Druid balance or to the Druid patch 4.2 changes, and watch the Feral and Restoration changes as well. I'll see you guys next time. Have a great day. Bye bye.